I grew up as first gen, first one being born here in the U.S. to parents and brothers from Mexico. Nuestras almas se acercaron tanto así. Growing up, I was surrounded by boleros, rancheras, romanticas. I was raised in a family of musicians in the church, so I grew up constantly being surrounded by music and locking myself in my room, listening to my music in secret. I listened to all these punk bands, indie rock bands, emo bands. Obviously, that's overwhelmingly white men. As a sad girl, a little sad little Chicana growing up in the hood, you cling to that, and there was a lot of us. I didn't get to grow up as a teenager seeing a Latinx Indie subgenre. Out of the last 5 years alone, there was a whole new lane emerging that carved intentional space for artists like these to thrive in.
I like being from two places because they give each other context. I can see Mexico from one perspective and I can see America from a different perspective. I think it informs a lot of my musical decisions.
Mexicano hasta 94.
Now, is everyone in the car an American citizen?
My background is important to me, but also understand that there's like all these other components that go into, you know, the person that you slowly become. And I think because it never occurred to me that because I'm Mexican, I'm supposed to like come programmed with a certain set of cultural interests. I mean, one of the bands that really made me commit more seriously to like putting out music consistently was Yellow Magic Orchestra. So it was kind of wild to be this like Mexican-American and that was obsessed with some Japanese electronic band from the 80s. This kind of cultural cross-pollination. That's kind of the spirit where a lot of the music that I'm interested in comes from.
I'm third generation, I'm Mexican-American. I just recently decided to kind of explore my roots a little bit more, kind of experimenting with writing songs in both English and in Spanish. So I do ask for help within my family. You know, I'm what you would call a pocha, where it's like your Spanish isn't perfect, your accent isn't perfect, but then there's also the other side of it where it's like I'm obviously extremely aware and proud of where I come from, and I am what I am, period. Living and performing in LA, I think is just, it's the coolest, honestly. I work with a lot of friends. For example, True Sound, this space we're in, it's, you know, Latino owned, and they just get it.
Playing in LA is really meaningful. Your close friends and your family are there. It's more emotional at home.
This whole genre movement came out of backyard shows. Managing artists like Kuko and Inner Wave, they brought me around the country, they brought me around the world. We got to open some out of our dreams doors for one another.
A lot of our fan base tends to be Latino, Latinx background. I think that's really special.
And action!
We don't feel that we're trying to sort of cater to that because I think we're just doing what we think is cool. At the end of the day, it's like the music that we make resonates with anyone, and the fact that it resonates with them and we see ourselves in them, it's what I wish I had when I was younger.
It feels weird being a solo artist since I do most of my stuff online. People just assume that I'm a band. In terms of the Latinx community, it's this double-edged sword where you're like equally proud to be a part of like, you know, a playlist that's like ultimate indie Latinx. But like, wait, if I'm here, how come I can't also just be an all-new indie or ultimate indie or whatever? There's this weird alienation that happens amongst all of us, where we're all like really proud of like where we're going and how we're doing within our own community. But I think like we all kind of desire to be bigger than that.
We wouldn't be where we are today as a full music community if it weren't for the love and attention and support of the press, from the Remezclamitus Orales of the world to the LA Times, New York Times of the world. We never really got to see ourselves in these outlets, and now we're in community there.
So Orale Mag is a digital magazine. I try not to do so much that people already have like a huge following. I think I always want to support people who are really hardworking and are trying to come up, and I want to be that platform for them. The reason why I choose to highlight artists over the border is because my dad works in Tijuana. As a kid, I would always travel with him. You know, just really started to like dive into what was there and just felt really curious about the scene there. I put on events and I like to bring artists from Mexico here. I'm trying to build that gateway for more artists to come here and feel welcomed here, and vice versa.
I don't know why suddenly my life is...
I was first inspired to do makeup by my mom. She wouldn't leave the house without her lip liner or eyebrows. She always had to make sure she looked good. In this industry especially, it's predominantly white. So it's really nice to be able to bring in Latinas who deserve to be in the spotlight. And we just really just get each other, like, they just bring it. Like, they give me what it's supposed to give.
I've always been drawn to the power of the divine feminine. I think being raised by like super chingonas.
One of the biggest points of reference, and it's almost like unsaid, is definitely our culture. What we grew up seeing the women around us wearing. Chicano culture is something that we try to reference with, but like elevate and move forward the style.
That's why we mix it with our goth shit.
Yeah.
Like that's like my identity for sure.
Selena is like a true artist in that she mixes like genres in a way similar to how I mix genres with my like music.
How do you feel?
I look amazing. I look great. I love it. I'm just hot.
It's a movement that had to build itself on its own, where there's so many people that climbed an uphill battle and laid foundation for us to really run now that they've built that standing ground for us.